Welcome to the Health Angle Podcast with Dr. Mike Headlee and Dr. Gordon Fimreite, where we'll be exploring different angles of health to achieve the best version of yourself. Now here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Gordon.
Welcome everybody. I am Dr. Mike Headlee and with me is Dr. Gordon Fimreite. Welcome, Dr. Gordy.
Hey, Dr. Mike. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Health Angle. Today's subject is going to be on a supplement called NAC. And the NAC is actually an acronym, and it stands for N-Acetyl Cysteine. And so we're going to break it down. We're going to go into all the details about this supplement, and we're going to talk about how it helps you mentally and your liver function, the immune function, and as well as reducing the effects of aging. So it'll be a fun supplement to dive into. I think I started taking this supplement, Mike, about 5 years ago when the pandemic just started. And I didn't know, I knew it was in the background. I kind of knew about it, but I wasn't as familiar as I am now. And there's just more and more stuff coming out with the benefits of this. How did you get started with the NAC? How did it become onto your radar screen?
Yeah, I first started taking it around that time too, roughly 5 years ago. I followed Ben Greenfield. His podcast is bengreenfieldfitness.com, and he started talking about it. And then this glutathione thing, and how, everyone kind of knows about glutathione. Can you take it as a supplement? It's hard to absorb, but you can take a precursor called NAC. A lot of research that I want to talk a little bit about coming up too is, it helps people with COVID. Oh, geez, it's been around 58 years in existence. And then the FDA starts to clamp down on it. They never touched it before. Yeah. And so I took it and I take it every day since COVID, 5 years roughly. And I've been taking 5 to 600s. I kind of change up. I change my supplements up until 500 to 600 milligrams.
You know that you can go all the way up to like 1,200 milligrams? Oh, and by the way, let me precursor one thing before we get really into this. If someone's on medication or you're on the guidelines of your medical doctor, please consult with them, especially if you're taking other medication. Yeah, so that's about it, Mike. I pretty much take the standard. Funny, I'm so in the habit of taking it, I don't even think twice. It's just one of my wellness routine and one of the supplements that I take regularly.
Yeah, I think we talk about our top 5, top 10 things of foods and supplements and this and that. I think it's definitely in the top 5. For me,
no doubt.
I mean, for sure, top 10, but it's a no-brainer. And I think a lot of our listeners will figure that out after we get into some details with it. And one last thing here, Dr. Gordy. Yesterday, I talked in my office to a nurse anesthetist, and she does anesthesia for mostly pregnant moms and C-sections and different things. And I said, what should someone take pre or post anesthesia? Just because it's a poison. If you put the gas mask on and you go out, that's poison. Okay. And then if you get an epidural in your back for like a hip replacement that someone you might know needs one very soon, and then they put some other drugs in your system, and so you're knocked out, you don't hear the chainsaws and the hammers going. I said, what could you take to really optimize? And besides, they recommend vitamin C and vitamin D, and I think K2 to optimize immune system and bone health. And NAC and or glutathione was their top recommendation for liver support to help our body detox that poison out. Our body can detox poisons and secondhand smoke and vaping. We talked about all that stuff before, but that was her number one recommendation, NAC, to take to support for antioxidation, to support our liver, to support the production of glutathione. So I thought that was pretty telling.
Yeah. Glutathione is really known, and I know NAC is a precursor, but glutathione, it's known as the body's most powerful antioxidant, it's really up there. So people are probably thinking, well, what is this thing about antioxidants? Basically, what antioxidants do is they're trying to take those free radicals and neutralize the effects so they're not negative on our body. And you might think, well, where are free radicals? How do they form? It's a normal metabolism in the body. So your mitochondria, which is the powerhouse, gives us the energy and the power to function as a human being. But with that, we get free radicals as a result of a byproduct. So some of the things that you can get free radicals from are cigarette smoke, whether it's primary or secondary smoke, air pollution, toxins, the ultraviolet radiation from the sunlight. You can also get it from ionizing radiation from some of these tests like x-rays or CT scans. And of course, there's pesticides and industrial chemicals. You can try to avoid these things, but sometimes they're unavoidable. And then you got heavy metals, processed foods, which are everywhere. And then, of course, there's alcohol consumption as well. So these things form free radicals. So I think NAC being one of the most powerful inducers of glutathione and antioxidant. I think this is a powerful, I think everybody should be really on it. And if you look at the damage due to oxidative stress, I mean, it not only ages you physically, you see wrinkles, you can see age-related appearance problems, but also internally, age-related diseases. So if you can neutralize the effects of all this stuff around us, I think you're going to be in much better shape. What do you think, Dr. Mike?
Yeah, that was super powerful. I wanted to just emphasize the detoxification of heavy metals and other harmful substances. That's major. In the biohacking and the health arenas, they say viruses and bacteria, heavy metals, and then the poisons, the aspartames of the world, and all the processed food chemicals, those like wreak havoc on our body. And if we can get rid of those in a natural, cheap, inexpensive supplement, virtually no known serious side effects. No known serious side effects. I mean, come on, very inexpensive compared to some other supplements. So in emergency medicine, Dr. Gordy, I read that they use it as an antidote for like acetaminophen toxicity and overdose.
Wow.
Really common for liver support. And there's been a lot of research recently for the neurodegenerative disorders like Parkinson's, because
Yeah.
it's really, really cool to do that. And there's promise for treatments of like mental health disorders, PTSD, depression, drug abuse, improve fertility, and it's just safe and inexpensive, it's just really, really, really cool. And yeah, back, 5 years ago when COVID, people were freaking out, didn't know what this virus was and what do you do? I know we've mentioned that we optimize with vitamin C and zinc and quercetin and D3, but gosh, you got to throw in the NAC as well,
Yeah.
because there's research that shows it has really helped a lot of people, and there's still people getting COVID today. So we need to get that out there and say, hey, there's books on it. There's a lot of compelling evidence that it helps with COVID too. So because of
Yeah.
the oxidative stress and inhibiting coagulation and the clotting factors and things like that, and breaking up mucus, all things that are associated with COVID, but also the lung issues and the asthmas and the COPDs and acute respiratory issues as well. So it's a heavy hitter, and then just inhibits replication of viruses. So influenza A and B was like on a rampage this winter for a lot of people apparently. And so gosh, I feel bad that we didn't talk about this pre-winter, because a lot of people maybe could have benefited from this. But yeah, it just helps with inflammation. Just so many positive things, Dr. Gordy.
You had mentioned neurodegenerative conditions such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. This is a big deal. And somebody who has a loved one that might have one of those two diseases might mention to their doctor about getting them on a supplement called NAC. And like, for example, Parkinson's disease, well, there's supposed to be 900,000 new cases diagnosed every single year. And that's expected to rise up to 50%, rise 50% in the next coming decade. And then as far as like Alzheimer's is expected to increase and affect 13 million Americans in the next 25 years. So just those two reasons alone is enough to take this supplement. And the other thing too is we talked about oxidative stress and your cellular aging. And we have a podcast just on that subject alone. It was very popular for our podcast anyway. We're building up our audience. And I think people are trying to tap in to being able to get their self healthy on a cellular level. And the cellular level, that's where the inflammation takes place. That's where oxidative stress takes place. That's where diseases start. And if you can get glutathione, you're only going to benefit. But I was looking at some of the other benefits too, Mike, such as like pollution damage. You had mentioned that one of the doctors would prescribe NAC as a pain medication if someone has an overdose due to Tylenol, acetaminophen. They actually do a prescription of NAC. Same thing for COPD, for example. They might prescribe NAC to help the mucus and really release it so their body can deal with it. And of course, what is it really doing? Going to the cellular level, reducing inflammation, reducing the oxidative stress. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, we never thought that NAC would be helpful due to the air pollution for just us normal people who may not have lung factors, but there's pollution everywhere and it's growing. How about the FDA, Mike, the controversy? What do you think of all this controversy?
Yeah, I don't like to be a Debbie Downer and just like, oh, I'm right and they're wrong and they're this big government agency and they don't know anything. I just like to read the facts. I'm not going to say they're wrong and I'm right. I'm just going to read some facts. NAC supplements have been sold for 57 years. I think I might have said 58 earlier. The FDA has never taken action against it until now. There's 16 clinical trials. They're investigating its usefulness against COVID-19, and they're very, very promising. And I go, what is wrong? How can we help more people? This was seriously, people are in hospitals, they're on ventilators, they're taking remdesivir, which is really, really deadly. And now we're saying you can take some vitamin C and D and zinc and quercetin and NAC and see a chiropractor and get some fresh air and like, gosh, it is like very, very, there's no serious side effects. And we want to vilify it all of a sudden after 57 years. So yeah, I just don't get it. What's your take on it, Dr. Gordy?
Yeah, I think this all happened like right around 2000. And the medical profession, they say, hey, this is actually a drug. We're prescribing this for overdoses due to Tylenol or acetaminophen. And we're also using it as a medication for the mucal lining to break up mucus in the respiratory for those conditions. So they're thinking this is a medication. But then all of a sudden, there's a widespread pushback. All of a sudden, more lawmakers and public health officials and advocates for healthy living, they got aboard. And now the FDA is on pause. It doesn't mean that it's gone, but it's on pause. So hopefully with the right people in office here, we'll be able to see no problems with the FDA in the future as far as NAC. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Here's something I want to get your opinion on. NAC restores the sensitivity of drug-resistant breast cancer cells to treatment, according to some researchers recently. NAC has potential to prevent DNA damage as well. Another study found NAC inhibits the growth, adhesion, migration, and invasion of human bladder cancer cells. I mean, it acts like a drug, but like I said, no serious side effects. It's inexpensive. Anyone has access to it today.
I think you have to go right back to why were we taking it as a way to improve our immune system and to help with oxidative stress or cellular damage. And you have to kind of look at it that way too, because there's no doubt that these are impactful on someone who has cancer. Where did the cancer start? Probably at a cellular level.
And we've talked about heart health, and I still think it's kind of the number one leading cause of death is heart-related issue, but studies show that NAC can help prevent strokes as well. So just chalk it up. I mean, if you aren't taking this, save your pennies and get some. I think it's appropriate.
I found another study that I was kind of surprised. but it's kind of exciting to see as well. So NAC may be beneficial for treating mood disorders like depression, anxiety, and OCD. I think you had mentioned that when we first started the podcast today. And through its regulation of glutamate, which is a neurotransmitter, it's actually linked to mood. And it also, there's a surprising role on its effect on addiction treatment. So it influences the brain reward system, reducing the cravings. So addictions such as nicotine or being addicted to marijuana or cocaine, NAC has been shown to help treat addiction, which I thought was really crazy. I had no idea. NAC basically balances the glutamate levels in the brain, which is critical for regulating mood and cognition.
That's amazing. That it's just such a powerhouse. It's a no-brainer to enhance virtually everything in our body and prevent a lot of things. My last piece here, Dr. Gordy, is how it relates to our health and fitness. We talk about physical well-being and exercise and movements and eating well and now with supplements and sleeping well and mental health. Glutathione deficiency as a result of diet, lifestyle, oxidative stress, too many oxidization things and chemicals and toxins can really put a burden on our liver and the glutathione production. But this changes in the regulation of our vitamin D metabolism in our liver. And research suggests that glutathione supplementation with NAC could help reduce the risk of vitamin D deficiency in obese individuals. And that was one of the biggest things with COVID is people that were overweight or pre-diabetic or diabetes. So a vitamin D deficiency and obesity, what really made people predisposed to be susceptible to not just getting COVID, but to succumbing to it. So that's huge. And then the last thing is NAC reduces the exercise-induced stress and reduce muscle fatigue. So if you're a really exercise enthusiast and you want to hit the gym and do some high-intensity interval stuff or do some long runs or workouts, gosh, it just helps with the oxidization from that heavy workout and the free radical production. And then it also plays a central role in chronic fatigue. And a lot of the people that I see every day, besides musculoskeletal and neck and back and digestive and stress and sleep, they have a lot of fatigue today. So I'm just curious if people give it a month or two or three, give it a month or two and see just how your overall health and well-being improve.
Yeah, and then add all these other tips, good exercise, eating good foods, getting some sleep, reducing your stress. These can all play a big factor. Hey, by the way, for the audience, if you haven't followed our podcast yet, please click that like button and subscribe button. And then also make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notifications of our upcoming podcasts. So, Mike, I am finished with my section. Close us out.
Yeah, I like to always close this out by saying, by really listening and pondering and thinking, and I know we usually pack a lot of things into a short amount of time. What's your number one takeaway that you can share with a coworker? You can maybe bring up, hey, have you ever heard of this NAC? Like, what's NAC? Well, then just, have a conversation about it, what you learned about it. What's your number one takeaway that you can share with a colleague tomorrow at work? And then what's your number one action step that you're going to take based on what we just talked about? They have some conversations with people and do a little bit of research on it and see if what we're saying is really as exciting as we are excited about it. So you should be that excited about it as well, because it's simple and easy and it just fits in with a healthy and balanced lifestyle that we've been talking about on the health angle.
Thanks again for joining us on the Health Angle podcast. We'll have another episode next week, so catch us then. Until then, we'll see you.
Thank you for joining us on the Health Angle podcast. Please subscribe to our channel and catch us for our next episode.